a researcher is displayed toward the beginning of the film. He was moving a strange animal into his body. A short time later, his eyes are transformed into blue tone. Also, he is changed into a werewolf and the scene drops here with this. Then the significant person named Lang Jun of the film is shown, who was taking care of business by his vehicle. Then, at that point Lang Jun listens the news that certain individuals were vanishing in the city bafflingly. In the interim, Lang Jun gets the call of his uncle Jong and he wishes his birthday. Then, at that point, he observes a topsy-turvy vehicle on his way. He endeavors to safeguard the man of that vehicle. Whenever he moves to that vehicle, then that animal seen toward the beginning of the film, it moves into the collection of Lang Jun, emerging from the body of that kid. Subsequently, he is additionally changed into a werewolf. Then, at that point, a mysterious military methodology is there. It was looking as they have come to catch him with full planning. However, it was sufficiently not. As Lang Jun changes into werewolf, then he kills by and large present with no trouble. Be that as it may, a female contender fires at him with green laser. Then, at that point, he promptly flees. In any case, that Powers chief was really disturbed by this, since he was in the pursuit of that individual who could change with that animal impeccably. So he had not tracked down a man as such till yet. On the opposite side, Lang Jun eats like a creature unusually as he approaches at home. Furthermore, he additionally acts like the creatures. Eventually, he likewise heaves in view of gorging. He witnesses the impression of werewolf as he looks himself into the mirror. Thus, he is so apprehensive. Also, he loses his cognizance in his bath. Then, at that point, he notices some changing in himself as he awakens, as his listening ability had exceptionally expanded. Simultaneously, he listens to news, which was communicating that the scratches seen before 12 years, they have observed the equivalent ventures the previous evening. Knowing this, Lang Jun becomes extremely vexed. Whenever Lang Jun goes to his occupation in the first part of the day, then his supervisor shows his indignation on him, since he had left his stuffed products vehicle out in about final evening. Afterward, Lang Jun's supervisor attempts to hit him with canoncy, then he hits back it. Thus, that can strikes on the divider. Furthermore, it is hit on the divider so strongly that causes the break on the divider. His supervisor is extremely frightened, seeing this. Also Lang Jun leaves that spot without expressing a word there. In the meantime, it is seen that man had watched out for Lang Jun. What's more, Lang Jun likewise protects a young lady out and about with this from confronting a mishap. Furthermore, he likewise reminds his youth with this where two children were prodding him. Yet, Lang Jun can't make any move in light of his weakness. Simultaneously, his companion saves him, coming there. Meanwhile he brings into his memory that there is his companion's bout today. So he right away moves to see the match of his companion, where it is seen that his companion dominates the game from her opponent. Despite this, her opponent pushes her down. Simultaneously, Lang Jun gets her, pushing forward. In the interim, Lang Jun's manager child comes there. He challenges Lang Jun for the bout and he acknowledges this. Lang Jun loses his faculties with one punch as their battle is held. Powers chief is seen simultaneously, who had still watched out for Lang Jun. It is additionally known here that researcher displayed toward the start of the film, he isn't any other individual yet Lang Jun's dad, who was kicked the bucket in light of a reason. What's more, Lang Jun's mom had likewise kicked the bucket because of some infection. Therefore, Lang Jun was in isolation from his adolescence. It is likewise uncovered that Lang Jun was the last any expectation of an organization for their analysis, since that animal in the group of Lang Jun had completely appended with his body. So Powers chief requests that his part catch Lang Jun at the earliest opportunity. Oppositely, Lang Jun was at the home of his companion when he awakens. She inquires Lang Jun, "Why did you take that test regardless of my precluding?" He is telling this to her, then he sees a gauze on the substance of his companion, which had a place with an organization Santa Yulian. For this organization, truth be told, Lang Jun's dad and that woman used to serve. that female warrior who had attempted to discharge her firearm at Lang Jun at that evening. After this, Lang Jun's companion shows him the photograph of her sibling, who had vanished in an extremely puzzling manner. Lang Jun tells her that he has seen her sibling in a similar organization. At similar spot, the individuals from that organization shows up there to catch Lang Jun. Presently Lang Jun stows away under their vehicle to keep himself stowed away. Furthermore, he leaves his mobile phone in their vehicle to find them. Afterward, Lang Jun's companion asks him, "Why did they come here?" Lang Jun tells her that they had come here to catch me, since I have an animal on which they were exploring. Lang Jun goes to his uncle named Zhang to get more data about this. At the point when Lang Jun goes to his uncle lab to meet him, then he sees that it is set ablaze. He safeguards him from the fire and asks his uncle Zhang about that organization. Yet, he has no information about this. After this, when Lang Jun is returning back, then, at that point, it is seen that somebody was pursuing him once more. As of now, he catches him and he takes that kid to her companion. That kid tells him he would have rather not pursue him. In any case, he simply need to be aware of that organization. So he was pursuing him, and he was likewise programmer with this, who had gotten risque lawbreakers inside a second. So he takes that kid in his group, since that kid conveys the entire data about that organization to Lang Jun. He tells him it is such an organization popular for its oil exchanging. Yet, there is likewise a dull part of this organization, as they exchange the illicit synthetic weapon from different nations. Also, it is a similar organization where Lang Jun's dad and uncle used to serve. In the meantime, he additionally tells Lang Jun's companion that he had reached with him before her siblings' vanishing. He likewise tells it, all missing individuals are allowed an opportunity to play a game prior to missing. Lang Jun's companion likewise concurs with this, since her sibling had additionally got a similar proposition. Following day, Lang Jun was moving someplace with his companion. Simultaneously, he gets the call of a similar kid, who had conveyed all information about that organization to him. Then, at that point, administrator and his tactical methodology there. Before this, he tells more subtlety. Lang Jun sets all set in their vehicle to save his companion. In any case, his companion follows that vehicle meanwhile. Also, she stops that vehicle. Just like an incredible fighter, she faces the individuals from that power there. Also, she escapes not long after saving Lang Jun from them. Then, at that point, both go to the Uncle Zhang and get some information about every one of the issues from him. Presently his Uncle Zhang uncovers reality and tells he and his dad used to serve in that organization, where he needed to make such prescriptions through which they could fix any sickness. At the point when all had some awareness of the passing of Lang Jun's dad, then they generally down and out, so they additionally quit chipping away at their venture with this. Now Lang Jun requests the reason from his dad's demise in the wake of hearing Zhang's realities. He tells on this, when his mom kicked the bucket due to one illness, so his dad had lost his mental fortitude, so he had taboo to work more with that organization. Be that as it may, those organizations' sprinters would rather avoid the choice of your dad. So they kill your dad subsequent to securing him in a room and setting terminating in this. Knowing this, Lang Jun turns out to be so forceful, however Uncle Zhang prohibits him, saying, "Don't make any stride against that organization," since it was a most impressive organization. In the interim, the proprietor of that organization come to there with his men. Furthermore, he kills Zhang, previously Lang Jun. Lang Jun was rankled, seeing his uncle passing on before him. So he is likewise changed into a werewolf once again. Furthermore, he starts to battle with all. Lang Jun had the green laser chance while battling. So he had likewise come to his typical state. Before this, they can get him. Lang Jun's companion pushes him down from the window, so those individuals may not get him. That kid likewise approaches with this, and he denies Lang Jun to make any stride since they were not prepared as expected till now. He discloses to him, "They can't hurt your companion until they get you." Hearing this, Lang Jun confides in him and goes with. Presently Lang Jun passes on this spot and starts to miss his old recollections, sitting near the ocean. He likewise projects a look at his memento in which his and his dad's photograph was stuck. What's more, he had additionally worn the gloves with this. At the point when he shows all to that kid, then he comprehends as where his dad loses his breaths. There was a spot. Presently they move to that spot. There are found a few signs of werewolves when Lang Jun arrives at there. He finds a crate there and opens this with the assistance of his memento. He finds a tape in that crate re-recorded for him by his dad. He discloses to Lang Jun about an examination that he had fabricated a medication to safeguard his mom. First of all, he applied that test on himself and his mom passed on before this. Then, at that point, he halted that investigation. Yet, the organization began to involve that medication as a weapon. Because of this, many individuals lost their lives. So they all choose that they will endeavor to shut down all illicit quests for that organization. On the opposite side, it is seen that the top of that organization was in the research center of Zhang. Furthermore, he was eradicating all confirmations from that point. Then, at that point, they observe an article there, that organization's head is killed as he was seeing that item. On the opposite side, Lang Jun had arrived at that lab of analyses. However, they all end the safety officers of that spot with the assistance of their weapon. Then, at that point, Lang Jun's companion is likewise displayed there. She likewise witnesses her sibling in the connecting room when she notices. Seeing her sibling, she guarantees him that Lang Jun will unquestionably come to liberate them from here. Many individuals enter there when Lang Jun comes into that lab. Yet, he closes all on account of the superpower of that werewolf in him. After this, they needed to gather to confirmations against this organization. So they all move into the various headings. Lang Jun arrives at that spot to save his companion. At the point when he was tracking down the keys to safeguard his companion, then Uncle Zhang shows up there who tells him they have made that medication with his blood. The medication which was wished to produce by Lang Jun's dad. Prior to this, Lang Jun expressed a solitary word, then the videotape of his uncle and father is played, in which Zhang needed to make those synthetic weapons alongside organization's individuals. Yet, Lang Jun's dad was halting him to do thusly. So he left Lang Jun's dad in that room which was set ablaze. Watching that video, Lang Jun had perceived that the controller of that organization isn't any other individual, however Uncle Zhang, who had ended the existence of his dad. In the interim, that organization's head collaborator likewise comes, who starts to tell that the controller of that organization isn't any other person, however Zhang. She was telling truth to Lang Jun on the grounds that Zhang had likewise killed organization's head. With the goal that associate starts to fire at Zhang, however he was not ending up being stressed on this. Since the medication made by the blood of Jun, it had been infused into his body before by him. He becomes to change into werewolf and Lang Jun is likewise transforms into werewolf. Afterward, an incredible battle is held between them there. During the battle, both come outside. Conflictingly, Lang Jun's companion and her sibling additionally come outside. Now Lang Jun's companion ties a rope around the neck of Zhang to save him, but Zhang gets no mischief on this. Running against the norm, he wounds Lang Jun's companion. Before this, he killed her. Then, at that point Lang Jun pulls the rope up. Lang Jun gives an electric link to his companion. Utilizing this, they end Zhang. Toward the finish of the film, Lang Jun is seen perusing book at his home. It is known by news that all missing individuals are tracked down at this point. However, they all have a puzzling blemish on their body. Yet, Lang Jun had brought into the light the reality of that organization before everybody. What's more, the film finishes on this scene. Much obliged for watching.